Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Career Day. Today we have an amazing person. We have Kensey, who is a behavior analyst as well as a sleep specialist. So let's get into it. I'm kind of a professional, so I mean, can't wait to do my career day. It's a content creator. Okay, so Kensey, you want to start by obviously telling me your proper job title? That's I probably butchered it, and introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a board certified behavior analyst, BCBA, and I support individuals who need, primarily with autism, who need assistance with learning new skills, decrease in behaviors, and I support families and individuals through that job. I work in a private organization, and then I also now do sleep, and I specialize in sleep and supporting toddlers and newborns with that.
That's awesome. Okay, so like when you were younger, when you were growing up, like I'm talking like 5, 10 years old, what was your dream job? Like fireman, policeman, vet?
My dream job was either a marine biologist. I loved animals, or a speech language pathologist. So I actually had difficulty when I was growing up with my speech.
Okay.
And so I support with that. And so I guess being exposed to speech language pathologists throughout my education, that really was something I really wanted to kind of go down.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you like in school as a kid? Like when I'm talking about like grade 8 to like high schoolish. Like, were you a messy kid? Were you like always prepared?
I've been a type A person for as long as I can remember. I love organization. I am that rule abiding type A type person. I've always been
Yeah,
that ever since I was a little kid, as far as I can remember.
that's awesome. So you're always amazing in school then.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I was just very organized.
Organized, yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I liked the rules. I liked following the rules, very organized.
So when did you decide to gear yourself more toward behavior analysis?
It's really funny, but most people that fall into this role will say they kind of just fell into it, like it just happened. And
Right.
that's exactly what happened to me. I was working in daycares, and I wanted to change my career and start my career essentially. And I had just finished university. Growing up, my dad did a lot of volunteer work, and my mom worked for community living, and she worked with adults who had developmental disabilities.
That's
And I
awesome.
knew that's something I want to kind of navigate into. And I saw this job opportunity come up to work with children who had autism. I had no idea about what behavior analyst was or what they
Right.
did, what the field was. And I just started at an entry level job and went from there.
So what did you take and what university did you go to?
So I have a social service diploma through Algonquin College, and then I went to Nipissing University. I'm from North Bay. And I also did part of that in Ireland, my degree
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
Limerick, Ireland. And it was in psychology and geography. And then I stayed in the field for a bit. Then I upgraded, did my master's through Global Purdue University. It was Kaplan University previously, and they changed their name while I was in it. And then that's where I am now. So it's kind
That's
of a
awesome.
slow upgrade. Yeah.
And so through all the learning and everything, do you find that like through university and college you took a lot of that and were able to apply it, or do you find real world experience was way different?
So I love the ability to do college and university because college offers the opportunity to do hands-on work and be in the
Right.
field and learn from the experts right in the moment. Whereas university, I find, gives a lot more theory and understanding as to what you're applying. So I really believe that you need the best of both of those worlds to be able to really be an individual to support um,
Right.
your learning as the best of your ability. And so I really like those ability of being able to learn, but also be hands-on. And I'm a very hands-on visual person. So that's what I really liked from that.
So what was your first job out of university and compared to like the first job in the field you wanted to get into?
So when I was in university, I was working for a daycare. So I've been
Right.
always around children my entire life and supporting them. And then my first job out of university within the field was essentially the entry level role of where I am now. So I was a behavior therapist delivering the therapy to children with autism. And so what would happen is someone in my position now would assess the child, determine the goals with the family, and then training behavior therapists to do that therapy one-on-one with the children and with the families or with the school. And so that was my first job right out of university. I was hired, I think it was like 2 months out of university. I really got the luck of the draw, because sometimes that doesn't happen right out of university, finding that job that you want it within your field. And so really everything lined up perfectly for me.
So I know you said you fell into the job, but did you find it almost more rewarding? Because I know you said you always want to work with kids, and like even from a childhood perspective growing up, this kind of falls into what you even wanted to do. So do you find it still rewarding? Like, did you love it when you first got into it, or find it difficult? Or
it was it was a challenge because I really didn't understand what the field was.
Right.
And the field of applied behavior analysis, where I work and what I study, it's a whole different language that you have to learn. So when you're going in, it's learning a whole new language, different techniques, different strategies. And so at first it's very overwhelming, and it's a roller coaster ride because you're supporting these children within an area of discipline that you have no experience in. Like, I know how to engage with kids. I know how to play with them. I know how to support them, but doing it in a way that is using evidence-based strategies, I had no idea that. So at first it was overwhelming, but as I was able to apply it and see the changes and the growth in the children, it was so rewarding, because I saw that this works. Applied behavior analysis works in supporting skill development.
So for people who won't really understand what you do, what is your day-to-day looking like? Like let's say from when you start working to when you finish, basically.
Right now, what I do is I'm working a lot with the families and working with the therapist delivering the therapy. And so what I do is a child will come in, I'll assess their skill level to see what skills they have and what skills they don't, look at the goals that the parents have, and based upon the assessments, let them know what I feel would be best goals as well for their child. And then we form a plan to teach them those skills. And then what we're doing is then teaching the behavior therapist how to teach those kids those skills.
Oh, okay.
So what we do day to day is taking data to see what's working, what's not. And we're using that information to guide, is the strategies we're using successful, or do we need to change those based upon that child to get them to where they need to be?
And are you primarily working with children with autism, or do you work with all children?
So I have experience with working primarily with autism. I also have experience with working with children who have ADHD, also with epilepsy. So our field works across anybody. It works with anybody, whether or not they have autism diagnosis. I mean, my spouse and I are both in the field, and we'll use the strategies on one another where we want one another to do something. We'll encourage and reinforce each other to get what we want, right? It's used across, and people use these strategies on a day-to-day basis all the time. They just don't know the name to it.
Right.
So that's basically how it works.
That's awesome. Honestly, I want to ask you a million more questions about the industry, but I just want to know, are there any pros and cons?
Yeah, like anything. So our field of applied behavior analysis has come very far. We've gone from, Skinner, B.F. Skinner with rats and with pigeons, and not a very great history of this field, to now where we have open door policies within our field. We want to ensure that parents see what we're doing and that they're comfortable to see what we're doing with their children, because ultimately we want them to be able to be as successful with them as a behavior therapist, right?
Right.
We want to ensure that we're providing services that are dignifying, and that they're providing a service that the children are comfortable with, even though they may not be able to communicate. And so the field has really grown. And so the pros of it is that you're able to gain skills that are meaningful for yourself and that are based upon evidence-based strategies. Does this work for everybody in terms of their philosophy? Not necessarily. Some people aren't going to be for it, and that's okay.
So knowing you personally, I know that you take your job very seriously. You love helping children. You love helping people, and I understand that you've even taken to like TikTok to try to make TikToks to help people with like kind of the sleeping with their babies, and you even have you even started a website as well. Talk about doing those kind of things, like branching off into really helping people outside of what you're already doing, which is a ton of work.
Yeah. So within the field of applied behavior analysis, you're really able to branch out to many different fields. So you can work with children with autism, you can work with animals, you can work with an older population, you can work with substance abuse. Really, the fields that you can branch out to are endless. It's really great because it is, again, evidence-based strategies that can work
Right.
across many different populations. We recently had a baby 6 months ago. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And near the end of me heading out to maternity leave, I really felt that I've been in the field for over 11 years supporting
Right.
individuals with autism. I knew I wanted a change. And so I've been really kind of talking about with my partner and trying to find that new love that I wanted to kind of specialize in. Well, we had a baby and boom, it hit me, sleep. I've always been interested in sleep. I find it
Right.
so fascinating. We need sleep just as much as we need water, food, and oxygen. We need it to be able to survive and to
Right.
be able to have optimal health level. And so having a newborn, sleep deprivation kicks in. And I said, this is what I want to help families with. I knew the struggles that we went through with our baby, and I didn't want families to feel alone, especially
Right.
in the middle of a pandemic,
Yeah, for
and that
sure.
they could have support where they knew it was based upon research, it was based upon evidence based. They had professional that was educated and had a lot of experience doing this. And so the TikToks and Instagram really fell in a way to help me through having a newborn in the middle of a pandemic
Yeah.
and also living in a new city. I'm from North Bay.
Right.
We recently moved down to Southern Ontario, and I don't really know a lot of people here. So it allowed me to reach out and meet new people virtually that I would not have done otherwise. And so Instagram and TikTok really allowed me to build a community of people that I would never have met otherwise. So it's
Awesome.
really special that way. And
Are
then
you
my
are you getting
website,
positive feedback? Sorry. Are you getting a lot of
I,
positive feedback from your?
yeah, I really have. I get a lot of messages from families saying, thank you, your information is supporting me. And I just did recent posts this week on realistic sleep expectations for infants, newborns, and toddlers, because social media is a veil of people's lives. You
Right.
don't really know what's going on behind the screen. And someone can say, for instance, a very blanket statement of my child's sleeping all night. And someone might feel, well, what's wrong with my child? They're not sleeping all night. They're waking up. And so I want families to have information that's pertains to their situation and to really help them understand what is actually normal. And so the website provides information how they can reach out to me in terms of services I provide for sleep. And so I'm really focusing on newborn, infant, and toddler sleep, and especially specializing on that area to help families really regain their sleep and feel empowered in supporting their children through their sleep journeys.
Here are 3 tips to help you with your newborn for sleep. Tip 1, watch how long they've been up for. You want to make sure that you're not pushing them to be awake too long and they become overtired. Tip 2, what's the environment like? Is it conducive for sleep? Is it cool? Is it dark? Do you have a sound machine blocking out other sounds that might startle and wake them up? Sometimes newborns need to help sleep. They need help extending their sleep. They need help going down. That's okay. It will not create negative sleep associations. So rock them, nurse them, cuddle them, wear them. Enjoy this time with your newborn. Don't fret over it.
So your website's called sleepeasyclinic.com, which is, I mean, you nailed it on that. I mean, excellent. Getting .com with that name is amazing. So I even see that you can get free trials on there. So what can people expect when they sign up or when they're doing a free trial type of thing?
Yeah, so I believe in freebies. I really feel that, especially when you are sleep deprived and you don't have the energy, I really want to help families out as much as possible. So I have over 15 free resources on my website for families to have access to that are nice and simple, I get being sleep deprived where you don't want to read a novel. So it's nice, short tips to help families, regardless if they're newborns, infants, and toddlers, on how to help support their sleep journeys on their own. And then there's information in terms of packages that I offer for individuals that need a little bit extra support. I know for myself, I would have loved the opportunity to have somebody coach me with sleeping and learning the realities of newborn sleep. You can find anything that you want on Google, right? You go in and you type something and you can get very mixed messages in terms of what's normal and what's not. I mean, if you type in what a sleep schedule is for newborns, you will have 50 different schedules. It's very overwhelming to know what is the right one for your child. And so I offer services where I can provide that information and tailor it to that child based upon what they need developmentally.
That's amazing. So what's next for Kensey? What's next in the new adventure? How are you going to help more people?
It's really providing information. I'm doing it on a daily basis to help spread the word. There is a negative connotation on what sleep training is. A lot of people think sleep training is the cried out method, and it's not just that. There's a spectrum of methods that can provide support for children, regardless of their age and based upon what their family values are. Some people are okay with a cried out method, to each their own. Some people provide prefer a more gentler approach, again, to each their own. And so I really want to end the stigma of sleep training, because families feel a lot of guilt when they sleep train. They feel ashamed that they have to reach out for support. They feel guilty because they'll see on the internet, if you sleep train, you're causing harm to your child, or you're affecting their attachment with your child. That's not the case. And I really want to provide information to families to help them not feel ashamed, but rather feel empowered for reaching out to gain support and to have support during that difficult time. Again, I've been there as a mom. I know how you are sleep deprived, you're up all night, and you just need someone who's going to be non-judgmental. So that's really my hope, is that I'm helping families, even if I'm helping them directly or indirectly, feel empowered and take charge of their child's decisions and not feel ashamed about it.
It's really interesting you say that, because you always hear people who have newborns like, oh yeah, I have a good baby because he sleeps through the night, or oh yeah, my baby's a disaster because it doesn't sleep. And you see the difference in the people who are like, my baby sleeps great. Like, even if he does have a sleep trainer, they wouldn't tell you that. They just say, my baby sleeps great, I have a great baby, that kind of thing. So I can definitely see exactly what you're saying with the people feeling ashamed, where it's like, well, my baby's not sleeping, why is my baby different?
What's wrong with my baby, right?
Right, yeah.
It's the same thing when, like, I never knew the impact of statements when someone would be like, your baby's so big, or your baby's so small. Our little guy's on the slender side. So when people say he's so small, as a new mom, I would have anxiety provoking thoughts like, oh my God, am I not feeding him enough? Is he hungry? Is he this? Is he that? The same thing goes with sleep. People put a lot of weight into whether a child is good based upon if they sleep at night or not. And their sleep shouldn't define if they are a good child or not. So I really want to help shift that perspective as well, in terms of sleep is sleep. That's all there is to it. Everyone does it. It doesn't make your child a good baby or not a good baby. So that helps families as well to reach out for support.
That's awesome. So let's just hit you with a tough one here. So let's say there's a young person in high school who aspires to help children with autism, or aspires to help children or become in a role where they can really make a difference and help babies and children and families. What would you say to an aspiring behavior analyst or aspiring sleep specialist to pick them up when they feel, because I know you said a lot of people fall into this, but like someone who's really driven something like this, what would you say to them?
I would say it's worth it. This field, especially the field of behavior analysis, is a high burnout rate, because you have to be on, and you're helping families a lot of the time when they are hitting their head against a wall. They're at the end of their rope, especially even with sleep, with newborn sleep. They're at the end of the rope, they're exhausted. And so you're helping families a lot of the time when they're in crisis, or they don't see that light at the end of the tunnel, right? So it can be overwhelming a lot, where it can be hard. What I would say is keep going. It is so amazing to see and have the ability to support families in those moments of need, And I would say get out there and volunteer as much as you can, get experience, reach out, learn as much as you can, and keep going. It is worthwhile.
Well, that helps. So I hope you help somebody out there to follow their dreams. And that'll wrap it up. Thanks again, Kensey, for having a behavior analyst and a sleep specialist on. It's been amazing to learn. Obviously, I had no idea, and it's I hope you're really helping people, and I hope people are listening to you and watching your TikToks and Instagram, and are following your advice and just getting the best out of life, because I'm sure it can be hard at times, like you said.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, see you later, guys.
Bye.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.